Well, hi everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Friday lunchtime, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with feelings. And the feeling that I wanted to talk about today was how much joy I get from getting feedback from my viewers. And we've got a variety of people who've contacted me during the week, and I wanted to give you some feedback on how they're doing. So before we do that, I just wanted to acknowledge that this is Jewish Heritage Month, for those of you who are aware of that. And, it is particularly difficult for us to um, think about that without thinking about all that's going on in Gaza. And, it's a very difficult time for a lot of people at the moment. So try and breathe and take it easy and know that, it'll get sorted out, I'm pretty sure, but let's hope it doesn't get worse rather than better. And the before we get on to this topic of the day, I want to let you know, boy, we've had a yo-yo week of temperatures here. I don't know about you, but we've had, really nice weather, almost summer weather, and then suddenly it really got cold again. So it was just like, I don't quite know what's going on. And, I've got a gas fireplace that I keep turning off, and then I better light it up again, and then I turn it off, and then, oh no, maybe I need to. It's amazing. I don't have forced air in my place. So, my fireplace basically uh, heats everything, or it heats the main part of the house anyway. And that heat sort of drifts to the back of the house. So it's awesome. Hi there, Jody. For those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin and does a wonderful job of looking after us all, not just me. I wanted to acknowledge some birthdays. It was Emma's birthday on the 16th. Um, Sandy's twins had the birthday on the 19th. Uh, and, what are we today? The 24th? Yeah, this is the anniversary of York's burial. So I'm sure that Jeannie will be in her own space today and probably not here. Um, and also, she also had the fire in this month as well. So that's the anniversary of that as well. So really difficult month, May, for Jeannie. So thoughts and prayers for her. I wanted to, first of all, give you some feedback on. Um, hmm, Well, before I do, let me give you a quote. This came from Bill Gates, and I wonder how many of you agree with this. And if you do, give me a thumbs up or write a comment in the notes below if you're watching on the replay. We all need people who will give us feedback. That's how we improve. Bill Gates said that. And I want to tell you one of the things that I really value. I have various very close friends. And the reason they are my very close friends is because they are not scared to tell me the truth as they see it. Now, they also know that just because they tell me their truth doesn't mean I have to act upon it, but it's good to know their truth. And I'm a great believer in, if I'm BSing myself, always hope that a friend will, you know, draw my attention to that. And that's one of the reasons why you hear me, I have my monthly visit with Yvonne. And one of the things that I really love about those visits is we are so absolutely down to the line truthful with one another that it's amazing. And, you realize that it's something that most people can't handle. And if you can, it is a wonderful way to go. And I made her promise me that if ever she thinks I'm losing it or whatever, that she will let me know. All right. So that not to shield me from it, because the sooner I know, the sooner I can hopefully do something about it. So remember that people who give you feedback, thank them for that. And if somebody asks for feedback, if you possibly can, I mean, I've had it where people have said to me, "What do you think of this dress?" And I say, "Are you sure you want me to tell you that?" You know? And the answer would be, I'm personally not mad about it, but the most important thing is if you love it, then wear it that way. All right. And it's just like I have a different taste in clothes. And that doesn't make you wrong or me right. It just is my taste of clothes is different. So what I like to see you in may be completely different from that you like to see yourself in. Does that make sense? So I always say that to my friends, you sure you want me to tell you? Because I've always taught them, please don't ask me for my opinion if you don't want it. Because I don't lie well, and I don't want to have to lie well. I want you to know that when I tell you something, it's because that's what I feel, not because that's what I think I should say. How many of you agree with me on that one? That is the measure of a true friend, that not only can they tell you their truth, but you will accept it as just their opinion. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean they don't like you. It doesn't mean that you are right or wrong. It means that's just their side of it. All right. And if you can handle that, then you have grown in your emotional intelligence. So I also heard from Angela this week. You remember last week, Angela popped into the broadcast. And one of the things that I said to her was, she's busy trying to find a job. And I said, you may want to look for a job outside your normal sphere. In other words, she had always been in retail. And I said, you may want to start looking at jobs outside of retail, because all the skills that I know she has, because I've met her and sat by a pool with her and talked to her for endless hours, all her skills are transferable. So just because it worked in retail doesn't mean it won't work somewhere else, right? And so what she did this week is she applied for a couple of jobs that had nothing to do with retail. And she has already had 2 interviews and also being called back for a second interview on one of them, a non-retail one. So let's keep our fingers crossed for her. But what she's proven to herself is that she has value outside of retail. Jodie's saying she agrees 100%. There are people that ask to hear a friend's opinion and get upset, okay, when it's not what they were expecting to hear. That's unfair. Yes, Jodie, it is unfair. I can remember once having somebody, actually it was I hate to say it, but it was my father, who left when I was about 4. And I didn't meet him until I was in my late 30s. And after meeting him and getting over that initial shock that he didn't look, like a movie star, or all the other things that I had in my brain about him. One day when he came to visit me, he asked me, what did I really think? And I told him. And then he started to cry and said that was so unfair of me. I said, whoa. You asked me to tell you what I really thought. Did you want me to lie? I've spent a lifetime imagining a father that wasn't ever in my life, never wrote to me that I'm aware of, or whatever. I'm not saying you didn't write to me. I'm just saying I was never aware of it. So sometimes when people ask for feedback, they don't want to hear it. They only want to hear what they want to hear. And so that's why I always try and make sure that I double check with people before I give them their opinion. By the way, just the fact that you double check with them tells them pretty much that you're not going to tell them what they want to hear. Frank A. Clark said, criticism, like rain, should be gentle enough to nourish a man's growth without destroying his roots. Hi, Nyasha. Good to see you there. And Nyasha, if you'd like to give us some feedback on how your visit to the specialist went, then I'll be able to make sure that I say the right things for you. All right. So give me what you would like me to tell people. All right. I know that you went, and I believe that you are on a wait list now. Is that correct? For those of you who don't know, Nyasha lives in Trinidad and Tobago, 2 little islands, sort of just off South America, the top end of South America. And She lives on Tobago, the smaller of those two islands, and she needs to have eye surgery. So that will have to be done in Trinidad, where the bigger hospital is. And so she's had to go there to, see her specialist and to get on a, what are you having, a cornea transplant? What exactly are they going to be doing? Just remind me, because I forget. And let me make sure I've got it right. I know that one eye they're not going to be able to save necessarily, right? That's just really sad, by the way. If I sounded a bit flippant there, and I'm not. I feel devastated that you're going to lose an eye. Yeah, it's okay that I understand that. I'm not sure why you did. You must have said something that caused that. And Yasha's saying that she got locked out of one of her accounts. They normally have a reason for doing that. So you might want to think about what had you said that they would have an issue with. Anyway, we'll wait for her to give you the update on that, the feedback. That actually was the next thing I was going to talk about, so I'm glad that Nasha's here so she can give me her version of it. You will remember that a couple of weeks ago, I talked to you about a viewer of ours that had a very difficult situation going on. She's a single mom, and things went wrong for her, and she ended up with her son being taken away from her temporarily. And, it's so difficult because what I was saying to her is, the most important thing you can do right now is to look after you. That's what is happening here. They're giving you the space. That's how you need to look at it. They're giving you to the space to 100% concentrate on looking after you. And I said, make sure you listen to what they ask you to do. All right. So if they ask you to take a course on this or do that, do it. Right? Because they're all little check marks that say you're doing the right thing to get your son back. And the other thing I did, and I would really recommend this to anyone who is struggling with overwhelm or stress or whatever, take a day timer that has, you can get plenty of the templates online, but that has like a half-hour appointment diary. All right? That's what you're looking for, something that looks like that. And then spend a week putting in what you do every half hour or so. All right. Now, it might be every hour. I spent an hour meal prepping, or I spent an hour tidying up, da 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 da. That's fine. What you want to see is how many blanks are there where you sat around doing diddly squat or playing video games instead of getting on with your life. And I've had a funny week where I've, just in terms of my feedback, where I've spent quite a lot of time wasting time. And I will tell you why in a second. So Nyasha's saying, yes, everything is correct. It's a corneal transplant, full thickness, meaning the entire donor cornea is transplanted. Wow, that's, our thoughts and prayers are with you. I'm sure that I'm trying to imagine if I were going to do that with my mentality, I would be terrified. So if you are, I totally get it. I don't think anybody in their right mind wouldn't be scared of having their eyes operated on. But the good news is, Yasha, this is like taking out wisdom teeth today. You know what I mean? It's not like 40 years ago where it was cutting edge surgery. Nobody had ever done it before or whatever. This is like they have done so many of these now. This is just like, a no-brainer for these surgeons. And that's what you need to think about. When I say it's a no-brainer, all right, this is not, they all know exactly what to do. They know what's likely to happen or not happen. And they've got this, right? This is not a new operation for them, right? They have lots of experience in it. So take a really deep breath. And by the way, they will sedate you sufficiently which is really important for you to know. Right? And you're probably not going to know what the heck's going on. And probably your surgeon has already told you that, right? So, but that doesn't make it any less scary. It was like me getting ready to have a mastectomy, all right? I don't care how mentally strong I was about it. When push came to shove, I was pretty scared, but I kept it under control. There were a couple of bits in there that I had difficulty keeping it under control. When they wanted to inject my boob with nuclear, stuff, I wasn't very happy about that. But luckily, that was a very momentary thing, but it wasn't pleasant, I must admit. All right, so Nyasha's saying, Mama Sal, it isn't easy for me, the mental toll alone. Yes, it's under general anesthetic. Okay, so that's, the main thing is, and I want to tell you something about that. I really programmed myself, Nyasha, and you might want to think about this. I really programmed myself that this most scary bit for me would be getting into the operating theater. And by the way, I walked into the operating theater for my mastectomy. Did I tell you guys that? They actually had me walk there. I've never in my life walked into an operating theater. And when I walked in, all the nurses, and the surgeon and everybody else, all masked up and everything. Hi, sir, and I went, hi, guys. But it was just so different, right? But what I realized was that when I woke up, it would all be over. All right, there wouldn't be any second guessing about it because it would all be over. And I don't mind telling you, I said to myself, if I wake up, because at my age, that it wasn't necessarily a given. And so when I did wake up, I was so glad to be alive. And if you've never had anesthetic, have you had anesthetic before, Nyasha? And that's the other thing, I guess, yes, you've had it before, so you know what to expect, that you're going to sort of come to and not feel 100%. And then, you know, it's, mind you, I must admit, I've had so many operations, and touch wood, I won't have to have too many more, touch real wood, so, that to me, it's like, yeah, I know exactly what this feeling is. And I know what I need to do for myself. I know I need to clear my lungs. That's really important for me, right? Because they will have had a tube down, and I need to clear my lungs out. And so coughing is really important to me when I first come out of the operation. So anyway, so the main thing is, do we have any idea of how much notice you will get that they are ready to go go? Will they give you 24 hours notice, or what is it going to be that they've got a donor? Because that's a lot of sudden stress, right? You've got to get on a plane and get to Trinidad, and that's not easy for you guys. So while Nyasha's answering those questions, let me just give you some feedback on Lauren. For those of you who know Lauren, she is our viewer in Tasmania. That's that little island at the bottom right-hand corner of Australia. It's part of Australia. And her mum passed less than a month ago. And I was talking to Lauren yesterday, and one of the things she said, and let me just give you exactly what she said, was, and I quote, "I believe I've moved from numb to acceptance." And for any of you who've gone through loss, you will know it comes in waves. One minute you think you're fine, you've accepted what's happened, and the next minute you go down a little bit again, and then you will build up and go, okay, I'm ready again. And that is called grieving. Those waves that go like this, that's grieving. all right, as your mind sorts it all out. And let me give an example of that. She was saying that she went shopping and it felt weird. And of course it would. She's probably spent a lifetime with her mum doing certain sorts of shopping. And now suddenly she's the mum and she's responsible for her younger sister. So, it's like I can understand that she feels weird. And then I also asked, because I know her mom used to run regular Bible studies. And I said to her, what are you going to do about the Bible studies? And what Lauren has decided to do is carry on doing them because that's what her mom would have wanted. And I thought, that's incredible. And apparently she wasn't necessarily part of the Bible studies before, but she's going to be now. So isn't that interesting? All right. She's really moving on, but being very aware of what she's feeling along the way, which I'm very, very grateful for. All right. Now we got some more feedback from Nyasha. Let me just give you that. She said, it's a sudden call, just a call they'll give you, and we have to go. We asked a patient while we were in the clinic, wanted to ask how much time they got, but they're too scared. I was too scared to ask. Yes, I think it is pretty much they will say, we have a donor. We need you here in the next 12 hours or something. Because, the life of the corneal, that's going to be implanted is not finite. It will die if it's not used in a certain length of time. I'm not sure. Jody, could you find out? Maybe, do you want to know? Do you want to know, or would you rather just wait to hear? I've got a feeling that you probably do because you said you wanted to, but you were too scared to ask. So we could check what the average time is if you would like us to do that. Yeah. Okay, Jody, could you have a look at that? How much warning does one get on average of a corneal implant? Transplant, rather, not implant, transplant. Okay, Jody will look that up for you while I continue, because Jody's amazing like that. Now, I love this. Winston Churchill said this, and I think we all need to remember this. Mind you, if you understand, Winston Churchill didn't mince words at the best of times. He said, if you have an important point to make, don't try to be subtle or clever. Use a pile driver, right? And then come back and hit it again. Right? And then hit it a third time with a tremendous whack. So again, if somebody says to me, I'd like your opinion, and I said, are you sure? Because it might not be what you want to hear. And they say yes, and I'll go, okay, this is my opinion. And then I will say, do you want to know why? On what do I base this opinion? And nearly always they will say, yep. And I'll go, experience. This is my experience. And I will go, this, and this. Do you want to know what both sides of that story are? Have I heard anything to the opposite of that? And I will tell them that. And then I will remind them, please remember, your life is your choice. It has nothing to do with me. You can come to me for options, sure, but the choice you make is yours. Yes, Nyasha, that's very good to hear. Nyasha's saying knowing for me makes me comfortable, yet it makes me nervous. Knowledge is power for me. That's what I thought. That's why I got Jody looking it up for you. Now, it might not be the same for you. All right, so thank you, Jody. Jody's saying, thanks to advances in tissue preservation methods, corneas can now be transplanted up to 14 days after donation. Breathe, Nyasha. Isn't that incredible? Wow, I learned something today. How about you, Jody? I had no idea that was possible. So it's not going to be hours necessarily, but they may want you there pretty darn quickly anyway. All right. So they probably will say, we need you here, within the next 24 hours. But know that if you can't get there within 24 hours, that it's not going to be the end of the world. Yeah. Now, the other thing is this, Jody, and that's my sense, which is, although that might be true in North America, it might not be true in Trinidad. You understand? They might not have those the same equipment, so it might be a lot less for them. So, but now you know it is possible. You feel any better, Nyasha? Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So the main thing is, you know what I would recommend, Nyasha? Because you are a very practical person once you know what you're dealing with. Here's what I would recommend. One of the things I learned to do when I was a professional speaker, and I spent my life, having very short notice to go and do a speech sometimes. Sometimes I'd have a whole year's warning, but sometimes I didn't. What I learned to do was to have a packing list and to have a suitcase almost totally packed anyway. All right. So if you know you're going to suddenly have to leave, maybe with a couple of hours notice or whatever, wouldn't it be a whole lot less stress if you knew exactly what you wanted to take with you? All right. That you knew which clothes and have your clothes already packed in there. Your toiletries, have a bag on your in your washroom, all right, that you keep all your toiletries in, everything that you're going to need, and just use them and put them back in the bag. I do that whenever I, used to do the December trips, all right. What I would do is a couple of days before, this is going to drive me mad, a couple of days before I go on one of those trips, I would take a cubie, one of these things. Hang on, because we're going to use that in a second. Oh, you can't see that yet. Okay. Take a basket or something like that, and then put all your toiletries in there. And then every day, just use them and put them back in there. So when you get the call, you just know everything is already there. You just need to get it into your suitcase. Okay. And the same with clothes. All right. Put underwear, put, your nightgown or whatever you want to take with you. And then if you take it out, then replace it with another one, just so that you don't have to think. For those people who have been pregnant, it's like that bag you take to the hospital. It's a really good idea to have it packed and ready. So there we go. I wanted to give you some feedback. You will remember I was talking last week about we found out that running my air conditioner for 15 minutes takes up. Hi there, Jeannie. I did not acknowledge Jewish Heritage Month at the beginning of the broadcast, Jeannie, just so that you know. Anyway, so what I wanted to say was that I was talking a couple of weeks ago about the fact that you could run a stand-up fan for 24 hours, and it would be the equivalent of 15 minutes of an air conditioner. And that blew my mind because I'm, always looking to save a buck here and there if I can. So what I did was I said, what if I increase the cross ventilation in my house? I need to let you know that my house is extremely inefficient in terms of keeping heat out. This room where I'm standing in my kitchen gets up to 90 degrees in the summer. That's pretty tough to take. So what I've done now is I've been working for the last month on improving the cross ventilation in my house. So screen doors that I never used. I bought a fan that could either be an extractor fan or an intake fan, whichever I wanted to. And I've put that here in my dining room because then it will pull air out of the kitchen, but pull cooler air from the rest of the house. Does that make sense? So it's going to cause a through draft. My front door had a screen door that I haven't used in 4 years. Guess what? I cleaned that completely off, and now I've done a test run with it. I've had Ciora here yesterday, and I've got a screen door on my back door. Now, that doesn't make a lot of sense because that's where most of the heat comes in the afternoon. But what I'm looking at is how to shade it, but still get the cooler air coming in, if that is true. All right. And that's going to be an experiment. But you will be amazed. Yesterday was nice and sunny. And I thought, I wonder if the system is working. So I turned that fan on just to low. That's all, low. It was a totally calm day. There was no breeze. And I stood at the screen door, at my front door, and I could feel the air coming past me. Right? And I went, that works. And by the way, I didn't even have the stand-up fan on. It was just the extractor fan. It's a double fan in the window. And it was pulling enough air out that even on low, that I could feel the air being drawn into the house. So that is working. So I'm really excited about that. And then what I've done is cause the cross draft in the middle of the house, which I didn't have before. And that's between the laundry room and the patio door in my craft room. So that's going to be a cross draft. And then the third one is in the back of the house, which is where my bedroom is. And I've got one window there that I've already opened up. I've got a screen in there, but I don't want to leave that open. I've got a patio door, but I don't want to leave that open at night. You can imagine that. So what I'm going to do, Yvonne is going to bring me, she's got a, what do you call it? One of those fans. You know what I mean? One of those square ones. And she's got one of those. I'll think of the word in a second. Box fan. That's it, right? Yeah, a box fan. And she's bringing me that to use when, those dog days of summer. So I am just quite excited now to see how well I can keep the place cool and whether it actually works better than the small air conditioner. Now, when I need to, which I'm sure I will in the height of the summer, I will turn on my baby air conditioner. I've got a stand-up air conditioner. It's about this big, all right? And I will use that. And it does keep the area where I'm sitting fairly cool. So, and then maybe I will do that and the stand-up fan. So really interesting that it worked. I think that was the thing I wanted to let you know, that I was quite surprised that I did it and it worked. Oops, hang on a second. Right, now the next bit, hang on, let me just read up here what Nia's just saying. All right, so Nia's saying the fact that I'm doing the operation, I'm glad because it's been a 30-year problem. I was told to do it at 10, and I'm now 39. I couldn't have done it before then. I'm happy that it's still an option for me. Although my eyes have gotten worse, I am still thankful. Okay, so she said, I like that packing organization. I'm going to do that now. First of all, write the list. All right, it'll take you a couple of days to get the list in place. And then as you can, put what you can. If you've got 2 hairbrushes, put one in, and leave the other out if necessary. But if you've got 2 toothbrushes, do the same. I learned, of course, because I was constantly away, I learned to have 2 of everything. All right, I had one that I traveled with and then one that I kept for my home use. And then actually I used to have 3 lots of everything because I used to have a trailer. And rather than keep packing everything in and out of the trailer, I used to have a whole set of stuff that I kept in the trailer. Everything from shoes to cosmetics, and you name it, all. That was all trailer stuff and it stayed there. So interesting. All right, I wanted to give you some feedback on my health. And the reason for that is because it was a pretty healthy week for me. Number one, I went and had my COVID booster shot. Now, I don't know whether where you live that they're still doing those. Perhaps you could let me know. Are you getting COVID boosters in Tobago? Are you getting them in New Hampshire? Are you getting them in Maine? All right. Or is it? And the reason I ask that is because I couldn't help but wonder whether I should get it. There's part of me that goes, it's not necessarily, I think my pharmacist who did it, by the way, my pharmacist said, well, as far as we know, it's not doing any harm. And I said, but that's as far as we know. 10 years from now, will we think differently? But hey, I got the shot anyway. And the reason I do is because I have a history of bronchitis and stuff like that. So to me, I know I'm vulnerable if I get it. And so I need to be pretty careful. So that was an interesting thing. So what about the rest of you? Okay, so Jeannie is saying she's not going to have it, right? And, that's the whole thing, right? So it is a personal preference, as was the first one, really. And Jody, what about you? And Lionel, are you going to be having the boosters? All right, while we're waiting for that answer, I wanted to go on. I also this week had a full physical. And it's the first full physical I've had since the cancer scare. And so from that perspective, not cancer scare, well, since I had cancer. All right. Jeannie's saying that her doctor never mentioned it. Okay. We here in Canada, it's actually controlled by the health system. All right. It's not the doctor. It's the BC Health people will advise me that there is a shot ready for me. I just need to make the appointment. All right. So Jody's saying we need to get a booster and the RSV as well. Okay. All right. So, it's just like, as I said, it's a very personal thing and doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just whatever makes you most comfortable. All right. So one of the reasons I was so scared to have this full physical was because I had noticed that where my boob used to be, I had about 3 quite big moles that had appeared. And quite a few little ones as well. Now, that was a bit scary for me. I also noticed under my other boob, I had a whole series of moles under there. And some down my stomach that, have all appeared since the mastectomy. Now, I don't know about you, but, that's sort of like, are they moles? Moles are just a change of pigment if they're normal ones, but they're also, as some of you know, you can end up with being cancerous, skin cancer. So it's something I am very aware of because I've already had 2 or 3, I think now, removed from my back that were cancerous. So I know that I am prone to skin cancer. And so you can imagine with all these moles popping up, I'm going, is this skin cancer coming back now? But now on my front. And the good news was he looked at them all and he said, absolutely fine. They're all normal moles. Oh, Jeannie's saying she took a 24-hour test regarding her Crohn's and result a slight infection, but no meds needed. That's awesome to hear, Jeannie. I was saying at the start of the video, that I know this is a really difficult day for you, and I know I'm actually surprised you're here, quite honestly. But also, May is a difficult month for you because it's also the month of the fire, when the fire happened and all that, and obviously burying York. So to me, it is just like it's a very difficult month for you, and just our thoughts and prayers go to you. Ah, okay. And Nyasha, we all had that problem. Just so you know, it's not just you. Um, all right. It is just a new level of security that Facebook has put in. All right. So all you need to do, Nyasha, is actually sign into your original account that you're talking about on that phone, on the A12. All right. All you do is just go to Facebook and try to sign in. And then it's going to say to you, we need to authenticate this, so we're going to send you an email or a text message or whatever, and they will give you a code. I think that's how it worked. Can anybody remember on those? I think they sent me a code, and then I just had to type that code in, and that was all. And then I'm in, and that's just a one-time thing. All right, so Jody is saying, apropos of the COVID booster, one additional dose of the updated 2023-24 formula COVID-19 vaccine is recommended for people 65 and older due to waning coverage of the initial immunization. Yeah, that makes sense to me. And especially if you are high risk, which Jody is and I am. So um, that's important to know. Thank you, Jody. I really appreciate that. So that was the first thing on the physical. Now, I don't mind telling you, he did a physical inside and out, and it was just like the inside stuff I didn't like very much, but it has to be done because I'm a potential cancer risk. But it was just like, take a deep breath and just relax, And I must admit, my doctor's assistant came into the room for him to do that because that's legally necessary, and she was so good about keeping me talking about something we both had great interest in, and I thanked her for that. I said, I know what you were doing, and I thank you. And she said, you're such an easy person to talk to. She said, it's not a problem. So that was good. Yes, Jeannie's saying, I've tried to keep busy. Today I was supposed to have lunch with a friend who is not too reliable. She canceled at the last minute, so I went by myself. Oh, Jeannie, you are a star. All right, so Nyasha's saying, I tried on the Samsung 12 and it's not saying to do anything else. Huh. Anyway, I'm very proud of you, Jeannie. That's called not letting other people rule your life, right? That's called I plan to go for lunch and I'm going to do it. I'm very proud of you for that. Yeah, Nyasha, let me tell you why you keep getting the same thing on the other phones. All right, because you need to be authenticated on the A12 one. That's the important thing. So I know it's difficult. Now, the one thing I found out that I didn't hear from my doctor when I did my panel of results in February, they did a full panel on me, and was that my cholesterol was up. And he did talk to me about it at this meeting. Um, so it was interesting because I'm not surprised. All right, I've been having a lot more cream and Mars bars. You remember that day I had four, and all sorts of things like that. And I go, hey, but then I remember this cholesterol was up in February, so now he said he wanted to up my cholesterol medication, and I said, can we just hang off on that and give me a few months to smarten up? And he said, I don't think you're going to be able to control it, Sal. It probably will still continue to go up. And I said, hey, then I'll take the meds. Yeah, then it's just I need more meds, and I understand that. So, yeah, it's interesting. Jeannie's mentioning she's making fisherman's pie, and that's very much a British dish. Yes, so enjoy that. I haven't had fisherman's pie since I left England. That's amazing. So anyway, cholesterol is up, and not the end of the world, right? It could have been a lot of other things that were wrong. He didn't mention, my liver being worse, or, my kidneys having a problem or anything else. It was just my cholesterol had gone up. So I was pretty pleased that that's all that I heard, quite honestly. My blood pressure, even though I was sitting having this major physical, surprised me because it was like 130/70 something. So that was incredibly calm. So to me, it is just like, wow, this is good. My blood glucose, I was a bit concerned because, for those of you who understand the rating, my A1C, which is the average of your blood sugar in your body over a 3-month period, mine was up to 6.1%. And it's normally about 6 or 5.9. And I said, I'm sorry, it's up, my bad. And he looked at me and he said, 6.1, there's nothing wrong with that. So I went, okay. But I said, I'd prefer that it's under 6 or under. And he said, yeah, and you know how to do that. I said, yeah, Jody taught me. By the way, Jody, I do mention your name with my doctor. And then my weight was up again. And so, yeah, again, I'm eating too much. And because I'm eating too much, my, I'm looking at it and going, but I must be eating too much of fairly good stuff, because otherwise my blood sugar would all be out of whack. Am I right in that? Jody's saying, Sal, too cute. What did you find too cute? That I mention you in my doctor's office? Also mentioned Yvonne. I want him to know that people around me care about my health. All right? That I'm not doing this on my own. And I think that's really important for my doctor to know. For example, even though I don't have to, Yvonne still, every season now, Yvonne's still helping me take all my measurements to make sure I'm not getting lymphedema. So we will see. But what I'm saying is that I was actually pretty scared about going. I don't mind telling you that. And who wouldn't be? And I came back feeling pretty good, except I am obviously now eating more rabbit food, and I'm stopped ordering cream. In fact, what I did is I had a look to see what is the difference between cream in a can versus whipping cream, which I'm inclined to buy because I make my butter from it. And I decided I'm not going to make my own butter anymore. I've got plenty in the freezer and the dumpster dive. But also, when I've run out of that, then I will go back to using plant-based type butters, margarines, right? And that's what I'm thinking. Or only buy cream when I want to make butter, and then only buy a small one, enough to make some butter. I have not bought butter for probably 4 years. I think since the pandemic, I've been making it. So, anybody interested in saving some money? And the reason I asked that is number one thing I found out during this month, I had reason to need some special batteries, the small round ones that go into certain things. I was blown away. Those batteries were $8.50 on Amazon to get 4, but I managed to get them in the dollar store at $1.25. Now, I really wish that Beth was here because she works, at the Dollar General or whatever in the States, and she will tell me, where do they get those batteries from? How can they afford to sell batteries at 125? Does anybody know? It's like Walmart, right? Walmart learned if you lower the price enough, and get enough volume, you still make the profit. So to me, I just thought I'd let you know that the one was nearly $9 and the other was just like $1.50. That's a lot of saving. Yeah. Okay. So Nyasha, just know we all had to do what you are trying to do. Do you understand that? This is not because of anything else. It's that just that whatever happened at Facebook, they needed us all to sign in and authenticate who we are. And I think it has a lot to do with the upcoming election, to be honest, in the States. All right, they want to make sure that they're not Russians pretending to be Americans, or you know what I mean. I think it has a whole lot to do with that sort of thing. Okay, so Nyasha's saying that she raised all her login information of all her accounts. All right, so you might need to start a new account. I don't know. Let's see if we can help you. And if it doesn't work, then talk to Facebook and see what they recommend. Tim Fargo said mistakes should be examined, learned from, and discarded, not dwelled upon and stored. What I'm hearing is that you can get back on with one of your names, all right? And if so, do you need to be on with 5 different names? I don't know. You have your own reason for that. I mean, I have my personal one, and then I have the Dear Mama Sal one, but um, that's all. Anyway, we'll see. Okay, now what I wanted to do, and I don't know if any of you are interested in this, but I wanted to have a regular segment about waste not, want not. As you know, I'm trying to do a lot more saving on not throwing food away, buying less food, buying food that's growing all the time, so I don't have to keep replacing it every week. All those sort of things. And one of the things that I saw this week, and I thought we could try, is, and let me see what I've got here. Come on. Things to do with lemon peel. All right. Now, I know that I use a complete slice of lemon, including the peel, in some of my smoothies. All right. I don't bother to take the peel off because I know the peel is good for you. And it's very appealing. And then I thought, well, let me, first of all, before I do the lemon one, you all know that I put my top and bottom of my oranges into my water every day. All right. Or whenever I need to fill this up again, I just put the top and bottom, and I keep the other ones in my fridge so that when I need one, and if they've been in the fridge for a few days, I put them in the freezer so that I've still got them. But that's how I use the top and bottom. I never throw those away. Now, what I heard this week, and I haven't done it before, and I wonder why I haven't, was I think you all know that citrus is a really good grease cutter. And what I saw was a really nice do-it-yourself thing. And this is just, I put one orange peel, or two, maybe two. No, one. Okay, the peel from 1 or 2 oranges, and it came up to about here. And then I filled it with vinegar, white vinegar, until it covered the peel, and then a bit more, I see. Okay. And now what it said, I did that on the 21st, and it said to leave it for 2 weeks. And you can already see the color of the vinegar now is turning orange. But they said to just leave it for 2 weeks and then strain it and then put the same amount of water in it. So you've got a 50-50. And then put it in a spray bottle. And whenever you want to clean anything that's greasy, you've got the perfect degreaser. How about that? Now, if you want to buy orange degreaser online, you would probably pay $7 to $10. Or you can take a cup of vinegar and make your own. How about that? So to me, it's all about, hey, if it's that easy, why wouldn't I do it? Right? Now, the next thing is the thing about lemons. Now, obviously, we can make lemonade. Anybody use lemons for anything else? Lemon peel, particularly. I learned that you can make a lemon pasta sauce just by using the lemon and some nuts, the vegan one, okay? So what they said was basically, let me get my knife. Now, I've never done this before, so we'll have to see. But it said, I'm going to use half a lemon, okay? I'm going to take out the pips. So it said you put in the lemon, peel and all, okay? I'm just putting it into quarters. No pips there. Mind you, seeds are good first, so not a problem. I'm going to keep that end for my water. Okay, so here I got, all right, so I got the lemon. It then said, put in some nutritional yeast, so I'm just going to put in about a spoonful of that. Yeah. And then I got some almonds. I put in about a cup of that. There are more coming this afternoon, so I'm not worried. And now I need some almond milk. Hope you got your fingers crossed. Niasha's asking me, what does lemon do when it's in water? Any citrus, like grapefruit or orange peel or whatever, the juices, the oils of the lemon come out, all right? And you end up with a really nice orange tasting water. So it's not just plain water, it's orange tasting water. That's why I do it. Okay, people, so you got everything in here. What herbs or would we use in there? What do you think, Jody? What should we put in there for a pasta? We need black pepper for sure. Actually, on second thoughts, I got some lemon pepper. So a bit more lemon. way too much, huh? Okay, there we go. Thyme or basil? Well, we know we've got basil. And thyme. Not both. One or the other, right? So there we go. So it smells so good. So I'm going to put that in. I think that would be enough, don't you, Jody? Just a couple of leaves. Well, the good news was it. The good news is that it blended in beautifully. And I didn't even have to use Niger the Ninja. I just used my magic bullet. And there we have a pasta sauce. Now, I can actually taste it because there's nothing in there that needs to be cooked. I will warm it up to use it. That's nice. I probably will strain it. I have to tell you, I could almost drink that. Wow. Who knew? So now, what you've got what I've got is a slightly nutty tasting lemon sauce. And how about that? Jeannie's asking me, wait a minute. Oh, it's called a magic bullet, like a bullet in a gun. And I want to tell you, I cannot live without mine, even though I've got a big Niger the Ninja one. I use this probably 3 or 4 times a day. And I assure you that if ever it breaks, which occasionally it does, I buy a new one overnight. That's how much I use them. I actually have got 2 spare, just in case. It's actually, okay, let me just write it for you. I don't know what it's called. Got it? Magic bullet. And I don't know what it costs in your neck of the woods, but here it costs under $50. And it comes with about 2 or 3 of these and a blade and, all sorts of bits. A strainer, 1 strainer lid, so very useful for smoothies and stuff like that. I am actually surprised about that. Jody? Now, how healthy would that be, Jody? Let's have a think here. We've got almonds. We've got lemon. That's anti-inflammatory. We've got almond milk. Nothing wrong with that. Some basil. That's good for us. And a little bit of lemon pepper. So basically, nothing, no flour. It's all protein stuff, right? And having tasted it, I said I could drink this. I want to tell you that I'd be quite happy to make a And Jeannie was asking me, did I make anything with ginger? I wouldn't mind adding some ginger to that and turning it into a smoothie. It tastes that good. So it's like, huh, just lemons. Okay, so Jeannie's saying they're less than $30 on HSN. Okay, so, but obviously we've got a situation where Nyasha is sitting outside of the North American continent, so it could be very different. Yeah, and they make all sorts of ones. Can you buy stuff on Amazon where you are? I want to tell you, it probably isn't. I bought one of the first ones that came out, and I've had them in my house ever since. I've never really worried about changing it. Oh, interesting. They're also available through Facebook Marketplace. Yes, you might be able to pick up a second-hand one. So, yeah, that's a good point. She has a problem being mobile, though. That's a problem for her. Anyway, I want to tell you, Jody, and the rest of you, just using lemons. And by the way, I'm trying to increase the amount of nuts that I eat in terms of health-wise, using nut protein a lot more. And just so that you know, feedback on that. How many of you remember I made my own protein shake stuff? All right. And I put a bag of rice in there to take any moisture up. I also have a regular thing in there. But I've used up what I made. And just a reminder, all that I did, equal amounts. I did 1 cup, 1 cup, 1 cup, equal amounts of oats, which I pulverized, oats, skim milk powder, and a cup of nuts, almonds. All right. So 1 cup of each made a protein shake mix. And all I do is when I make a smoothie, I will put, not every day, but most days, I'll put in this much of this shake powder. And, this has lasted me a couple of months, I would think. In fact, now I've got to use up the rest of the store-bought one. Okay, and here's the difference. This cost me about $30. And you can see that it's a vegetable one. So this had proteins and greens. So now what I'm going to do is to make my own and then mix the two together as a third option. All right, so Jody's saying, nut proteins reduce your risk of heart disease and support the immune health. Actually, it's one of the things, Jody, I thought you'd like to know. My doctor's assistant said, Sal, I can't believe how well you're looking. She said, after what you've been through in the last couple of years, I can't believe how well you look. And the interesting thing for me was, the way that my doctor talks to me. He knows that I'm not a perfect person, but he also knows I work really hard. Like I said to him, in terms of the cholesterol, I just want you to know I am intentionally cutting down on meat protein and trying to go, not completely, but trying to go about 50-50 with meat and vegan options and meatless options. And he just looked at me and said, yeah, of course you are. You're smart. By the way, I didn't mention this, and I should have done. I was saying to them, because I hadn't really had a chance to talk to them about the cancer drug thing that I went through. For those of you who don't know, when I had my mastectomy, when I finished recovering after about 2 months. They then wanted me to take a hormone killer. So they wanted me to take a drug that would kill the estrogen in my body, because the sort of cancer I had uh, feeds off estrogen. And for those of you who traveled that journey with me, you will remember that my health went downhill rather fast. I went from being somebody who just had a mastectomy and was doing pretty well, thank you very much indeed. I was, had a scar from here to here, but, other than that, I was fine. And I was getting full mobility back, and I was, and then I started to take this drug. And life as I knew it changed within about a month, I would say. And I did 6 months of it before I went back to see my oncologist. And I said, I got a bit of a problem with this drug. And I started to tell her, just how difficult my life had become. The fact I could hardly walk anymore. My hips were so bad. The fact that my brain was foggy. It was really difficult for me to put a broadcast together, by the way. And I did all those months, but it was really difficult because my mind was not functioning well. And then they suggested that I might want to try the other drug. Does the same sort of thing, but slightly different composition. So I said, okay, I'll do that. So for 3 months, I tried the second drug. And that's when 6 of my teeth fell out. And generally, I was not a happy camper. So this time, after 3 months, I said, you know something? I cannot walk without a cane anymore. My mind is fogged. I'm lost my creativity to a very large extent, and creativity is part of my life. I basically was dying as far as I was concerned, mentally and in spirit, mind, and body all at the same time. And they decided that my risk of reoccurrence was so low, about 2%, they said, that really the price I was paying was higher than it needed to be. Anyway, I was talking to my doctor and his assistant about this, and then he said something that blew my mind, and he obviously said it without really thinking. He said, you made the right choice. That stuff is poison. That's what it is, Sal. Poison. And I thought that was amazing. Okay, so I just want you to know that I said, yeah, that's what I thought too. And I decided I would rather have the quality of life and a shorter lifespan than a longer lifespan feeling like I was feeling. I said, really, it was a no-brainer for me. All right, so let me see what Nyasha's saying here. Although I live with my parents for health purposes and my disability, I try to be as independent as I can. I know that, Nyasha, and I've always admired that in you. I also have accepted the fact that I'm disabled. Yay! Well done. The doctors had to write that on my health history due to my birth story. I wasn't looking at myself like that, but it seems like the health world, I'm considered to be disabled. And so now I can say I'm disabled. Yeah, it took me 39 years to accept, but you did. So you know something? I'm old. I don't like it. I don't like it, Nyasha, but it's a fact. I'm old. I'm also vulnerable. Don't like it, but it's a fact. All right. So for me, taking whatever I can to protect my body is important to me. So the fact that you can actually know that you're not a wuss, you can be disabled and high functioning. Do you know what I mean by that? Hang on a second. I want to write that in case it didn't come over properly. Okay, so you can be disabled but high functioning. How about Lauren? Okay, Lauren's in a wheelchair. That's disabled. All right. but she's high functioning. She's, doing university. She's now taken responsibility for her younger sister because her mother died. She's now going to be sort of like the responsible person in the family for a lot of things. So it's, being disabled doesn't mean you're stupid or whatever. Being disabled means that you have something that's not going quite right. Jody is incredibly disabled. Jody's just saying, I have a little experience with being disabled, and I prefer to say that I'm a person living with disabilities. I am careful not to let disability become my identity. Yeah, and the same with me. I try not to use the cancer thing too much, right? But it's a fact, whether I like it or not. I'm somebody who I'm not even a cancer survivor. I'm not allowed to say that for about 10 years. Well, I guess no. I guess I'm a cancer survivor, but I'm not cancer free for 10 years. If the cancer doesn't come back in 10 years, I can say I'm cancer free. But as of now, technically, I am still somebody with cancer. I think that's how they do it. It just hasn't shown up anywhere. Well, you see, it was your understanding of disabled, Nyasha. Nyasha's saying, that's what I couldn't understand. Why am I considered disabled, yet I can do the things I can? Because you are a fully functioning person with disabilities, as Jody said, right? And Jody, look at Jody. I want to tell you, I've known people that have got half the problems and half the disabilities that Jody's got, who basically sit in a chair all day long and do diddly. All right. But Jody's not like that. She knows her mind still works. Well, all two cells of it, but they work. You're not totally disabled. That's BS. You're not totally disabled. All right. You are somebody that has, that you live your life with some disability. So do I. All right. I am now somebody that lives with, I think age is a disability, quite honestly. My hips don't work the way they used to. That's a disability. I am lopsided because I've only got one boob. That's a disability. Yeah. So Jody says, yes, Jody uses her fully functioning 2 brain cells, and I lend her mine every now and then. So we work with 4 either way, backwards or forwards, and, this is like having a disability doesn't mean anything other than whatever. Yes, Jeannie's saying she's accepted the fact that she requires a cane. By the way, Jeannie, have you tried yoga? Any of the yoga stuff? I want to tell you, doing those yoga exercises on my bed at night before I go to sleep has really helped my hip rotation. So just want to tell you. Oh, and I was talking to my doctor about the fact that I have pain in my rotator cuff. That's happened since the cancer operation. I'm not sure what happened to it, but it just doesn't seem to be getting very much better. Yeah. See, Nyasha, you've actually come to accept the reality and not see it as the end of the world, right? Yes, Nyasha's saying, I've asked the nurses here, and I was told whatever happened back then caused your nerves to be severely damaged and nothing else, all right? It's not it is just like you just need to know that I've got neuropathy. Do you know what that is? That's where the nerves in my feet are not working properly. Now, Jody has that as well, and probably some other viewers. That makes walking difficult, but not impossible. All right. All I do is a lot of exercises on my feet to try and minimize it. All right. So, these are all things like, I will neuropathy go away? Probably not. By the way, my doctor checked it. He didn't say anything. He, took the pin thing and he tested all my toes. And I think I felt most of it. So I was happy about that. But, I know that neuropathy is now, I feel it a lot when I go to bed at night. It seems to be worse when I take the weight off my feet. Jody probably knows why. I don't. Um, but I don't notice it as much during the day, but I really notice it when I go to bed. So, these are like, hey, is it a disability? Yeah. But does it stop me living the best life I possibly can? No. Right? And that's what I think this is all about. And Nyasha, I want to tell you, you have grown so much in accountability. Your mental, what should I say, your emotional intelligence has grown so much in the time that I've known you. All right? All right. So be aware of this. You've dealt with an awful lot of very scary stuff, and you're still dealing with it. And the other thing is, that we're here to support you, and that's really important. Now, do I think that when you have one eye, not two, that we're still going to be here? Yep. And have you done what I suggested you do? Have you learned how to use speech to text? I believe that Google Documents has speech to text. I believe that probably, I haven't looked at Facebook, but a lot of these things, you can actually talk things into your phone now and not have to type them, if you're having difficulty seeing things. But you will still get the response, all right? So to me, aren't you grateful for the fact you live in 2024, where we've got all this technology to help you? And again, I really recommend that you, while you can, read a lot of biographies and a lot of books about people who are blind, all right, and learn how they coped, just in case that is your reality. I'm not saying it will be, but just in case it is, read a couple of books about what incredible things people have done whilst being blind, right? Because it's not the end of the world, it is just a different world. I'm sure you've heard of Helen Keller, and there's so many people. Look at Stevie Wonder, look at Ray Charles. You look at all these people who were blind, but that didn't stop them being international performers. All right? So this is about a mentality, like so many things in life. All right? So many things in life. It's not a disability if you don't want it to be. It just is what it is. It's what makes you you. All right. Yeah, Jeannie's saying she calls her cane her affectation. I love that. Yeah, Nyasha's saying I've been trying a whole lot. It's been tough because I live in an area that because I believe that an area in my mind got damaged, yes, but I've been working at it very hard, still stressing from them all, but I'm determined to overcome. You're going to do the best you can, and that's all any of us can do. All right? All right, so Jody's saying the foot neuropathy can feel more intense when lying down due to lack of movement, decreased blood flow, cooler temperatures, and increased pressure on the nerves. Yeah. So I have a lot of problem when I go to bed. I got to do more research into that and see what I can do. So look at it, Nyasha, and I would say be very proud of yourself. All right? Because I'm very proud of you. I know the Nyasha I met when I first met you was a baby in her thinking, a lot of things. All right? And very angry at everybody. And look at you now. But your curiosity and your thirst for knowledge is what has taken you from here to here. Okay, so you haven't tried the speech to text, right? I'm not sure if you can use it on YouTube. We'll look into that and see what can happen. But the whole thing is, so many of these programs, if you want to send a text to somebody, if you want to do, you can just talk into your phone now. All right. And that I think is really, so incredible. I watched, Siora, the person who comes to help me once a week with my garden and everything, we were doing something outside, and I cannot believe how many times she picked up a phone and said, "Hey Google, blah, 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 blah." And then we listened to the reply and we went, okay, fine. I mean, she was asking questions all the time, and it's just like a way of life now. All right, she wasn't typing it in; she just, hey Google, and then asked the question. Oh, mine thinks I'm asking a question. That's quite cute.
Okay, suppose you wanted to pay me a very, very nice compliment. What would it be?
Shouldn't have done that, should it? And that's the other thing, Nyasha. Please keep your sense of humor. All right? Don't take yourself too seriously. Because as we know, there are so many people in a much more difficult state of mind. So there we have it for today. I hope you've learned something today. I hope you've laughed a little today. I hope you realize that you're not the only person in the world with problems today. I hope that you have gained some courage today. And if you have any of those things, then you're a better person than you were when you tuned in. Yeah. Nyasha's saying, Mama Sal, yeah, I was a baby in my thoughts and thinking, and that's because I didn't know why I was the way I was. Nobody had told me anything. And I was made to navigate the world without knowing. Yeah, well, you see, you've grown up now. So, Jeannie, thank you for thanking me for a good broadcast. I hope that it had some value for you, and especially today, Jeannie. You've been on my mind a lot. And again, let's celebrate Jewish Heritage Month. And for all of you, wherever you are in the world, be very grateful to be alive. Be very grateful for all the good things in your life and spend less time concentrating on the bad ones. And as we say time and time again, be prepared, not scared. All right? So be prepared, Nyasha, to pick up a suitcase and get to the airport if you have to, right? Be responsible enough to go, I'm basically packed and ready. Just keep the suitcase open because that call could come through anytime. And if anybody says to you that's stupid, you go, no, I want to be prepared so that I don't hold you up when we get that call. I want you to know that I'm basically ready. Jody, as usual, I know you've had a difficult week as well. And thank you for all you did to support me through this difficult week. And I am glad we all had another week together. I am forever grateful for that. This is Dear Mama Sal saying have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you on Sunday. Thanks, Jody, and thanks, Jeannie, for being admins, and I will see you Sunday. Bye-bye for now.